Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We are broadcasting from the Thacker Jewelry Studio. Start your story with engagement rings and wedding bands from Thacker Jewelry, online at thackerjewelry.com. We want to get directly to the phone, so we've got Dr. Rollo on line one. Dr. Rollo, how's your week going?
How are you guys today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Good.
Well, glad to have you.
No.
Always look forward to getting the latest information about Lubbock Independent School District.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
So, Dr. Rollo, one of the big things that happened, I guess, this week so far is that Cooper ISD is going to stop doing virtual learning. They said that I think 90% of their secondary students were not attending on a regular basis or were falling way behind. Are you having that problem at all at Lubbock ISD?
Well, we do have a bit of an issue with particularly secondary students not logging on to their Chromebooks and not doing their work. However, we have really been reaching out to those students. This past Saturday, we actually turned off the Chromebooks for students who had not logged on. And we've had a good response from that because in order to get their Chromebook back on, they've had to call the school and make connection. So we have found that to be a successful approach.
There you go.
And we're trying to get kids back online and back in school and working on their work.
Yeah. So is closing down virtual, is that something that Lubbock's even looking at right now? I think y'all have quite a bit more in virtual than Cooper did.
Yes, so we are not discussing that as an option right now. We have about 30% of our families who are participating virtually for whatever reason, whether they have someone in their family who is autoimmune compromised, or we have someone who, for whatever reason, just are afraid of catching the virus. We definitely feel like we need to stand this option up in Lubbock ISD.
Yeah, well, that brings me to the big question is COVID, and how many cases how many students do you know, if you have a count, that's been infected? And of course, I think that because as we understand, it almost it does not affect the kids nearly as much as it does adults. How many LISD employees, like teachers and so forth, have contracted the disease?
Sure, I can give an update. And this is as of last Friday. I have not added the few cases we've had this week to these numbers yet. But each Friday I do give an update to our board. So I'll share with you what I shared with them on Friday. Since the first day of school, which was August the 17th, we've had 235 positive cases of COVID. 83 of those have been staff, and we also include student teachers in with that number, and then 146 have been students. We have 0 hospitalizations right now. We did have one of our employees who was hospitalized, but that person has since been released and is recovering at home now. It's across 48 campuses and facilities, so there's not any one place that has had a large number. Our August cases, we have 30, and all 30 of those folks are back at school and work. During the month of September, we had 194 cases, and 112 of those are recovered and back at school or work. And then as of October, which, we're, again, at the beginning of October, we've had 11, and none of those have come back yet to school or work.
Well, that sounds like a good news.
Yeah, yes, it really is. A lot of them are back. We only have one case that we have evidence was spread within our facilities, and that was a teacher and a TA who were eating lunch close together and took off their masks. But our campuses have done a phenomenal job of cleaning protocols. We have over 300 people who are quarantining right now, and we feel like that's also helping to mitigate the spread of the virus. We know the quarantining is not popular, and it's definitely stressful on families, but when we ask people to quarantine, we really believe that's helping to keep us from spreading it within our schools.
Well, it sounds like a good news, bad news situation. It's certainly good that there is that there's nobody hospitalized. But that is telling. But we talked about this yesterday. It seems like that this virus has weakened, or there's better drugs in treating it, or whatever.
Well, I do think our treatment options are definitely better. We've become more sophisticated in how we treat that. But the virus, does spread, but we do feel like what we're doing in schools with wearing masks, socially distancing when possible, spreading the students out, washing hands frequently, using hand sanitizer, we do believe that all of those protocols are working.
Do you have hand sanitizer available in numerous places in the school?
Over the school. In fact, our teachers have it in spray bottles, and as students enter their classroom, they're spraying their hands. We spray between every transition period. We have stations throughout the buildings. So yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So has it caused
all you can do?
Has it caused any problems with sports teams or anything like that? Have there been any canceled games or canceled sports trips of any kind?
Not on our side, not yet. We've really done a good job. We've spent some money and bought some extra protective gear for our football players, so they're wearing a special shield over their helmets. We have had other teams have to cancel, but we have not had to cancel any games yet on our end.
Yeah, that's good.
No, we've had some players who've had to miss games
right.
because they were either positive or were in close contact with someone who was.
So one of the things that was brought up was that you talk about how things are working right now, and you have people that are quarantined or even just it's getting into the flu season, and right now Lubbock ISD needs substitute teachers.
Yes, yes. So normally substitute teachers, that is a situation where in a normal year we do end up running into some shortages. So we are really pushing our campaign. If people are interested in substitute teaching, we would love to have them. The reason why we need more now is because we do have so many teachers who are quarantining. We are allowing them to teach from home, especially if they're well and feel up to it, but we still need someone in the classroom to monitor the face-to-face kids. So we are needing substitute teachers. We just increased substitute pay, especially for people who are certified teachers or retired teachers. So please see our website. If you're interested in substitute teaching, we would love to have you.
So what would the qualifications be to be a substitute teacher?
And they're listed on our website. Okay. I'm afraid I'll misquote. I don't know them exactly offhand.
Okay.
But they are listed on our website.
Okay. And what's the website? If you're interested, where do you go?
It's actually on our front page, www.lubbockisd.org. I think there's a link there right now.
Easy enough.
On that front page about substitute teaching.
Okay. Dr. Rollo, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Got Dr. Rollo, Superintendent of Lubbock ISD, on the phone. This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO. Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We're, again, going to go directly to the phones. We've got Dr. Rollo, Superintendent of Lubbock ISD, on the phones. Dr. Rollo, one of the questions I have is the second 9 weeks is coming up, or the start of the second 9 weeks. Is right now a time that people can switch from being virtual to in class?
So our deadline for that was actually Friday.
You're too late. Sorry.
We had a 2-week window where virtual families could switch to face-to-face, and that deadline was Friday.
So
we have about 2,000 kids that are coming back to us face-to-face.
Is there any? Are you seeing any movement from face-to-face to virtual?
So it's more the other way around.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens when you have a new 9 weeks?
Well, the 2-week period from now until we start the second 9 weeks on October 19th, our staff is looking at numbers per grade level, per classroom, per school. We may have to do some shifting of staffing to make sure we have the appropriate number of teachers ready to handle the face-to-face kids. So we're in the process of doing some staffing, and then the second 9 weeks is just like a new beginning. It's when we start the new grading period over.
So grades should be going out as well here pretty quick.
Yes, they will.
Okay.
And we have been sending progress reports at the 3-week marks.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, I want to get a question in here. Dr. Rollo, nationally, there is a big, there's a lot of questions about what is being taught in our public schools and what is not being taught. And I thought this was a good time to ask you, because I sure wonder about it myself. It seems like the kids today don't understand the Constitution. I know when I was in school we had civics and we learned about the Constitution of the United States, et cetera, et cetera. Big concern by millions of Americans that kids today do not know about that. Is Lubbock ISD teaching civics, and are you teaching them about the Constitution of the United States, and even more about how the country was founded, et cetera, et cetera?
Absolutely. It is embedded in our social studies curriculum. And Lubbock ISD, just like every school district in the state, follows the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. And the Constitution is embedded within our standards in every single grade level. In fact, we just celebrated Constitution Day. I believe it was one day last week or the prior week. And so lots of classes, lots of grade levels did different activities around the Constitution then. But it's part of who we are as a nation. So absolutely we teach about the Constitution.
Well, of course, I don't expect you to know what others are teaching, but but perhaps you do. Are there other ISDs around the country, perhaps in other states, that you're aware of that do not teach that?
I'm not familiar with other state standards, just because my entire career has been in Texas. But I cannot imagine a state not having that as part of their state standards that are taught. But in Texas, we are required by law to teach it.
Well, that's good, I think. Well, we have a texter this morning who says, a question for the superintendent: what has the attendance trend been for students and teachers during the pandemic?
As far as attendance, actually our attendance...
What has the attendance trend been for students and teachers during the pandemic?
So for our face-to-face kids, our attendance trend has actually been positive as far as students attending school. That's probably because this year there is a little bit of flexibility where if a student needs to stay home, whether they are quarantining because they've been in close contact, or even if they just have a cold and don't feel well, they can still participate at home in their class and get credit for attending that day. So we've actually seen our attendance rate high for our face-to-face students. Virtual is a little different. It's very complex in accounting for virtual attendance. So I don't really have the trend numbers for that. Is that what the question was regarding?
I think so. I think it has to do with this year versus last year, and it sounds like if they're going to school, then it's all going well.
Yes. Now, I will say overall enrollment for Lubbock ISD and most urban districts from around the state, we're seeing that our enrollments have declined, and that is particularly with pre-K and kindergarten kids. So we are starting a campaign where we are really pushing and hoping to get more of our pre-K and kindergarten kids enrolled in school. We're afraid that parents are just staying home with them out of fear.
Yeah. And that would be if you're just staying home now. Pre-K, I guess, is one thing. You do definitely want to have your kid prepared for kindergarten, but especially kindergarten, if they're just staying home and they're not learning anything at all, they're not going to be prepared for first grade.
No, they're child behind when they start school.
Yeah.
So if you have a child who is 4 before September 1st or 5 before September 1st, give us a call. We would love to get them enrolled in school.
Okay. One of the things that you brought up was teacher appreciation, teacher and principal appreciations. What exactly are you talking about there?
Well, October is National Principal Appreciation Month, and so just want to give a big shout-out to our principals. They are doing a fantastic job of keeping their students and staff motivated. Normally, May is Teacher Appreciation Month, but we know that this year, unlike any other year before, we are asking teachers to do more cleaning protocols, social distancing of kids. It's just been a very challenging year for our teachers.
And it's definitely time-consuming for them as well.
Yes, and we know it's exhausting. And we do we recognize the hard work. So we are actually going to every campus right now and treating the teachers to Bahama Bucks one day after school. I know it's a small thing, a small token of appreciation, but if you see teachers, please tell them how much you appreciate them and know that this is a really hard year. And we just ask everyone to give our teachers some grace and love and know that their jobs are not easy ever, but especially this year.
Yeah, and don't forget the Starbucks cards. I know that most teachers love Starbucks. So
absolutely,
well, most people
Starbucks
do. So
that's
right,
like,
Sonic.
That sounds like we've covered everything, Matt. And Dr. Rollo.
Yeah.
Always glad to have you.
Yeah. We got about 30 seconds. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight?
I just want to thank our parents. And again, thank you, teachers. You are fabulous, and we appreciate you tremendously in Lubbock ISD.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon. Dr. Rollo, thank you so much for coming on.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me today. Thanks.
All right. We'll be back after this on News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO.